Hampi is just ruins to see out from outside, and it's a forgotten history.
Rule certain issues like that. But mankind has occupied a very small blip of history of evolution. A very small blip. Within that time, we have created so much of mess for ourselves. Simple example, a small 30-40 site carries around 20 tractors of waste during the construction phase, which transfers to almost around 20 tons of waste. So how many 30-40 sites are there in Bangalore being built? Right?
To begin with, there are these few spaces where we get attracted to again and again, and I feel Hampi is one such space. And I'm sure you also feel, because you have made Hampi as your second home. So what is so special about Hampi that many people get attracted to it? Because bluntly speaking, Hampi is just ruins to see out from outside, and it's a forgotten history. So what is so special about Hampi that it attracts many people towards
For me, it's the sunset and the sunrise. Right? But I think what really attracts people, even though they come there thinking it's the ruins, but it's actually not the ruins. It's the landscape. Hampi per se has been evolving it actually has one of the first cooled rocks of the planet. And because of it evolving in the last 3.8 billion years and cooling down and creating some very interesting geometries because of weathering, it has some very unique rock formations that merge with the green of the landscape, with the plantations and the ruins, add value to that space. And that's where I see a lot of people coming and enjoying that space.
Okay. When I had been to Hampi, there are these auto people standing there and they say, okay, we'll roam you around Hampi for 8 places. There are these 8 spots or something. Is that all Hampi is about, or is it beyond that?
Look, if I go back, like I said, if I go back in terms of history, first cooled rocks, you see a lot of prehistoric paintings in a lot of unknown places. A lovely landscape to trek, flora and fauna which are very unique to that place. The history of the Vijayanagar Empire, preluding to that the folklore of Anjanaya and the whole Kishkinda Kanda of Ramayana happening in that belt. Cultural significance, there's so much more which is there. Of course, because of tourism, I think, and because of it having reached UNESCO World Heritage status, because of the Vijayanagar Empire ruins, tourism gets pushed only into these. But it is much more. It is much, much more, right? So, yeah, even if I go only to the Vijayanagar ruins, you have not just the Virupaksha temple complex or the Vittala temple complex. You have so many hidden gems in that place. And in and around that area where Vijayanagar Empire is evolved, you go to Itagi, you go to Badami, on the way you have Gajendragarh and all those places, which are some lovely, lovely architecture. Lovely ruins too.
So you've started Hampi Center of Design in Hampi. What is, I heard from you only that there are many workshops through that you are doing, and you ignite conversations mostly about the culture, or mostly about how the true essence of biomimicry, not just copy pasting, but actually understanding what nature is and then applying it to design. So tell me about the workshops that you have done before, and what kind of workshops have you done there? What kind of conversations happened through this CD?
Look, I think what is very critical and what is missing out is a space for dialogues to happen on design. So the Hampi Center of Design, even though we started off thinking that we'll start a school of design which kind of break a lot of norms of what we're doing, and then we went through the whole process of the grind of getting the approvals and things like that. But we realized we're going into the same shell. So then we shifted and said that rather than looking at it as a school of design or a school of architecture or something like that, can we create a center for design where dialogue happens? And dialogue at design can happen at multiple levels.
Right.
And we've had different kinds of workshops till now. I mean, right from origami to sketching to watercolors to tensegrity as an idea. And these have been conducted by various architects or artists from different parts of the world. We've also done what I focus on, which is biomimicry, which is about really learning from nature and integrating that back into our design process. The whole idea is because that nature has solved all kind of challenges we are trying to face. And because of the lifetime of nature, which is 3.8 billion years of evolution, mankind has occupied a very small blip of history of evolution. A very small blip. It's very minuscule. It's like a blink of an eye. Within that time, we have created so much of mess for ourselves. So, how can I learn from nature? Because we are one of the most brilliant species on the planet. Because we have the ability to think and emote and things like that. How is it possible for us to really learn from nature? Bend down, really submerge ourselves to nature's evolution and learn from the way nature has evolved and created things which are cyclical in nature. Unlike the linear systems which we follow right now. So how can I learn from that and integrate that back? That's what we do. But in the long run, it's not just biomimicry. It's going to be a lot more of discussions on design, on issues of design. There's a team which is working on what is an edge and how an edge, which is basically the joinery between two lines, 2 points. How an edge can redefine the way cleanliness can be maintained in the urban level, village level, things like that. Many such design thoughts are being discussed. So we are looking at creating spaces which will evoke that kind of thought process.
Through these workshops, how impactful the workshops which you have done before? How impactful are they? We attend workshops, we attend talks, and then we clap and go. How impactful is it? How much we carry it to our home? Because the Elevate event which happened recently, it was all about sustainability. I don't know how many people would have taken that sustainability home and put into practice. So people just clap and go and appreciate. So how impactful? How can we create an impact?
So what we're basically doing is, with respect to biomimicry, I'm looking at it at 3 levels. The first level is purely awareness. It's about making people aware that there's a way of thinking which is very different from the way of thinking we have been doing till now. Right? Because everything we have done till now, post-industrial revolution, everything is being sent to a landfill. Everything which is manufactured is being sent to a landfill. So, to move from there and recreate, I'll give you an example. Can you think of building a brick wall, or a wall in cellulose? Right?
No, we haven't thought about it.
So, is it possible? So, it's definitely something which is futuristic, but that thinking process is very critical. Now, if the construction industry is generating so much of waste that we are throwing everything into a landfill, right? So, simple example: a small 30-40 site carries around 20 tractors of waste during the construction phase, which transfers to almost around 20 tons of waste. So, how many 30-40 sites are there in Bangalore being built? Right? Thousands. So, that's the kind of waste. Can I relook at it? The first phase is about awareness. So, I would like to, this phase is all about talking to people about what is biomimicry, how can I learn from nature, create that interest. Of course, we go by the Pareto's principle and say, if I'm talking to 100 people, 20 people might be interested in this, and 80 people might not be, right? So, build on this crowd or community of people who will be change makers.
At least these 20 matters.
Yes, matter. The next phase is actually taking up issues, real-time issues, and working on those issues through a design sprint, solving it for companies, solving it for industries, and trying to give them an idea of how it can be used. Say, for example, we have done work with various colleges where they participated in competitions looking at biomimicry as an inspiration. So, how product design or even architectural design can be influenced by looking at nature. Right? That's the second phase. The third phase is where it's mammoth, is basically becoming an incubation cell where HCD promotes or supports new ideas and see that they get incubated to reality, to execution, which would require funding, which would require mentoring, which would require how do you bring it into a business model, all those knowledge bases, where of course we will have the required experts to come and talk about it. So this is a three-pronged experiment we are trying to do. So right now, biomimicry wise, we are just talking about what is biomimicry, showing it off to more people, trying to get more participants to come and participate so that we build our community.
So that's, you're in the first stage, right?
First stage.
Yeah. Okay. That's nice. Is it going to be a space in, like, is it going to build space HCD where you do workshops, or is it going to be?
Yeah, I think at one stage it would get into that zone. Okay. It would get into that zone where if I'm having a space there which has enough inspiration all around. Again, architecture is all about inspiration. A space needs to inspire. So if there's a space there which could inspire people to come and learn and then take it forward. Here again, it's not just about, when I say awareness to people, it's not just for architecture students. It's for designers, it's for every walks of life. It could be a workshop with politicians on how to learn from nature, or it could be a workshop with doctors on how to learn from nature. Right? So what I call this as design thinking through nature, right? Where how you take up a problem and solve it using nature's inspiration. So it could be a space for all of that. So yeah, it might be a structure in the coming few years.
So workshops was it all online till now?
No, a lot of it has happened even at Hampi.
Okay.
A lot of it.
So I think when we go there for Hampi, and if you are trying to do some workshops there, I'm sure because it's a UNESCO site, there will be restrictions coming. And especially, many people around only will say, "Who are you? Why? What are you doing?" How did you deal with them, if you had to deal with?
Again, the UNESCO part of Hampi is only part of it. Okay. There are core zones, but there's so much of places. There's so many caves.
Okay. So that doesn't belong to UNESCO. No, that doesn't come under.
But you look, why would UNESCO, why would this core zone impact? Is because they don't want to damage the environment. It is not about not allowing workshops. I wouldn't want to sit down in a ruin and talk about biomimicry. Right? I would sit down in a landscape and talk about biomimicry. I would sit down near the sunset or the sun ray spaces and talk about various issues of design. It's a huge piece of land. So I don't think so that's a challenge. That's not at all a challenge.
So you didn't have any such encounters?
Absolutely not. Okay. We've done it in various resorts where people had come. So you walk down to a hillock and sit down there and have a dialogue on something.
So you said you wanted to start a school of design to begin with, not HCD as such. What were the restrictions and what were the challenges that you faced that you stepped back?
Look, a school of design should not be bound by restrictions. Should not be bound by only a fixed curriculum. And the education system today rules that. The curriculum system today is actually bound by certain rules and systems. And it's aptly accepted by people who want to get into degrees and things like that. So that is where I think we kind of held back. It was actually not only a school of design, but it was a lot more. So we were talking about designing of museum. How do you design a museum space? How do you design the typography? How do you design the display system? To designing toys, to designing games. So we were talking of design at a much larger level. And there was no curriculum which was really fitting into that zone. And whatever we were trying to get certified on or was not fitting into the line of thinking we were doing. So I think that gave us a direction to move away from it. you.